2 wins out of 2 in the league, seeded in the League Cup, and you won your first KDM match. How happy are you with the season so far?
No, I'm really happy. I think I'll never get carried away, but if you'd offered me the start that we've had to the season and where we currently sit, then I would have been delighted with that. A lot of work that had to go into it, a lot of work to kind of get us to this place, but at the risk of getting carried away, it's a marker going into this knockout stage of the cup competition. We're in a place that we'd hoped that we would be, and I think the challenge now comes just to keep finding that level of consistency and finding the ability to keep doing that. I think it's pleased me in the last couple of games is that resilience towards the end of games and ensuring you get across the line. So I think that's a brilliant trait to have, and in amongst that I think there's been some really good performances as well, so it's a pretty decent balance at this minute in time.
You spoke about a lot of work. How much progress do you feel that you've made since the end of last season?
I think an enormous amount. Some of the stuff you can measure and you can see, some of it you can't. There's a lot of that is off the pitch as well, is on it. But as I say, just getting a blend and the people we have here, how we work, how we want to work, what we want to achieve. Getting yourself into a position of winning games of football and trying to continue to do so and what it takes to get there. There's so many things that I think we have made improvements on. As I say, we get nothing for it at this minute in time. What we do have is an exciting game, I think, to look forward to on Saturday with some real good opportunities. If you can perform and you can get a result, it's going to be difficult. Dunfermline will be the favourites for the game. I think we'll all acknowledge that because they're a good side and we're away from home and they're a division above us, but that doesn't mean to say that we don't feel as if we've equipped ourselves really well against higher opposition so far this season.
So where does all that leave you in terms of optimism that you might actually go to the East End Park and do something? I
think we always believe that, to tell you the truth. We always think that we've got a capability and a chance of winning any game of football, whoever you pitch us against. I think I said after the Dundee game here in the Cup that if we find that level of performance, we'll be able to compete with anyone. Dundee have had a lot of praise, rightfully so, with some of their performances so far this season. So I felt that was a good marker for us. I know it's one game of football, but I think what that gave the players was a belief that they can operate at a really high level and they can compete with good teams.
But as it stands, you're the seeded club and Dunfermline from the league above you are the unseeded club tomorrow on Saturday.
Yeah, and that's testament to the work that the players done in the group stage, so they deserve that, no doubt about it. They deserve to have that. That was, I told you after it that was our goal. We didn't say it before it, but that was our goal. We felt that we could be one of the best group winners, and as such, I don't actually know how much it means in terms of the draw. It's a difficult draw. But I think you always look forward to that knockout stage of a cup competition, and you see in Dunfermline last year they were a good cup side last year. They also had a very good run in the Scottish Cup, and you can see the excitement that can build for a football club and how much confidence that brings, and as I say, the excitement for the supporters as well.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You mentioned the games in pre-season and League Cup group stage. You played against higher opposition, good results in all of those so far. What does it take to go and potentially spring a surprise against a team when you are, on paper, the underdogs going into knockout time?
Yeah, the same formula it is for any game, really. For me, understand what the opposition are good at and how you can counter that. Try and find out what their weaknesses are and see if you can expose them. Because we all have weaknesses, we all have frailties, and I think something that we've done is we're turning up at the right time at this stage. We touched on that last year, training well through the week and getting to the game and, maybe kind of flattering to deceive and disappointing. But that's the biggest factor. You can train as well as you want all week, which we want, but making sure that you hit the right notes when it really counts is something that we've been working towards. And I think I'll say it again, I think if we do that, we can contest a game with anybody. I really do. And that's not to be arrogant, it's just what I'm seeing from within the players. And you would always allude to the biggest factor. What do you want to be, what do you want to do, and how are you going to go about it? And if we can get to the level of executing that, then we give ourselves a chance.
You feel, Stuart, that you're ahead of yourself at the moment in terms of progress?
Yeah, I would say so, Jim. Yeah, I think you would imagine that you would take a few blows along the way. I think one of the things that really pleased me, because as much as I keep saying you move on for last season, there are still bits that you need to remember. There's still bits that you need to understand what it felt like, what it tasted like at the time. And we took a blow at half time, right in the stroke of half time against Montrose, where we conceded a poor goal, a penalty kick. I thought it was a soft penalty, don't get me wrong, but we conceded the goal nonetheless. And part of my conversation with the players at half time was, we as a football club haven't responded to adversity particularly well, and I think the character and the bit of quality we showed in the second half was a really good trait to see in the team, to be able to see that we can respond to that. We don't feel sorry for ourselves, and then especially when we miss a hatful of chances in the second half, we keep going, we keep probing, and you get your just rewards at the end of that. So that's something that I feel that you don't know until you see it, and it's something that's really stood out for me so far.
Is that that must be one of the most pleasing aspects, I guess?
Yeah, that, and I think we all love it when we turn up and we just play good football and everybody enjoys watching it, and you win a game of football and you can run out a 3 or 4-0 victory. We're all realistic enough to know that that's not the case. I think the bit of character we showed in the game against Peterhead towards the end, the persistence we showed against Montrose to win the game, the persistence against Elgin, that's a different side for the really top performances that I've seen, and I've loved that blend. I've really enjoyed that blend for the players, that they want to get across the line and keep getting that feeling of winning games. So if we can find the tools and the skill set that's required for each game and keep responding to that, then obviously it'll set us in a good position.
Chris Hamilton made his debut from the bench at Elgin the other night, long awaited, and he'd be delighted just as you are to get on the pitch.
Yeah, I spoke to you after the game, didn't I, Paul, that for me, I think it was huge just to get him on the pitch. I think you can see at this minute in time he's obviously lacking minutes, he's lacking match sharpness, not through any fault of his own, but as a result of the injury he sustained. I think it's so difficult when you've done all that work and all that running, and then the first pre-season game comes and he's not had an opportunity to take to the pitch. So the thinking behind it the other night there was that we just wanted to get him on and get him a feel of playing in his position again, and that's the first step to what I think will be a successful career here at Ross County. But obviously he's still got quite a bit to do to get himself fully up to speed, but I'm certain that given the next couple of weeks he'll get to that place.
Another player I was keen to mention from the other night, I speak to Peter as well, Jamie Williamson, who I've kind of known more as a midfielder, but he slotted in defensively.
Yeah, I'm glad you've mentioned Jamie. I think sometimes around here he goes a wee bit an unsung hero. I think he's unfortunate maybe not to have had more minutes. I think he trains so well every day. There's a lad that just does the right things. If he makes a mistake, he responds well to it. And we've kind of felt that he's really versatile. He played in a pre-season game in a back three. He'd never played in that before. I thought he was outstanding. When we played Aberdeen, I thought he played really, really well. And what we quite like about Jamie is that we feel he can play as a centre-back, we feel he could play as a full-back, we feel he could play in a midfield position. So he's so versatile, and he gives himself a chance to play in your team when you have that versatility. But playing across the back line, he's such a nice user of the ball. You've seen that the other night. A lot of his passes and a lot of his kind of playbook and where he wants to go with the ball, and his execution's good. So I also think that's a nice thing to have across your back line. Need to be able to defend first and foremost, but if we want to try and build attacks, having somebody that can do that is a nice trait to have.
As I say, Jamie's one of those guys that we've heard a bit about for the last couple of years. He's had a couple of successful loans. What does it take for somebody in his position to kick on and get those opportunities we can get? He's
like a young Stuart Kettlewell, played every single position, centre back, full back, midfield, play wherever you put. I don't think that's right for everybody. I need to stress that. We've spoke a lot recently about player development. I know it's a big subject in Scotland at this minute in time. Paul and I chatted about that the other night. It's a big thing. Some people can do it and some people can't. Sometimes it affects their understanding of the game and their learning of the game. I don't think it does for somebody like Jamie. I think some players you need to kind of harness, maybe use like say Callum Brown, who you seen coming on the pitch the other night. He's a number 9. That's what he is. He's a central striker and needs to learn how to become that. So the idea is sort of chopping and changing his position. I don't think would do him any favours. But Jamie's got so many different traits and a real versatility about him that I've not seen him perform badly in any of the roles to this point. and he's been a really valuable member of the squad and certainly deserved his start the other night, and I thought he acquitted himself pretty well in the game. So some players I think you can do that with, some players I think you really need to target what they are and just really firmly stick to it. I laugh in saying it's like a young Stuart Kettlewell. I always felt that I could play in any position, any role, any job, and you know, it didn't affect me as such, and I can definitely see that in Jamie's makeup.
I think you touched on it before, but that's kind of fed into transfer approach this summer, hasn't it? Not wanting to block the pathway of somebody like him.
Yeah, definitely. I think, again, everybody got a chance here. I spoke about that. Every single player, we weren't putting them out on loan early because we wanted to make sure that we were set on what the level was at that point and where we should be pitching this. And I think it's fair to say for guys like Andrew McLeod and Jamie Williamson, they've absolutely pitched themselves in there as being sort of first team players. What they'll both want is more consistency in minutes, but again, that's where I shove it back on them, that you need to ensure that you're doing better than the guy that's in your position. But the two of them are performing well. If I just single those two out, and they've very much been a part of my thoughts and very much been a part of our group since the start of the season.
Just a final thing about Saturday's tie, you wouldn't be backing a 0-0 in this game, would you? Because it's two teams that have scored goals against each other only last season.
Yeah, I think, and even at that, I think I was a wee bit surprised in the first league game to see a 0-0 between Inverness and Dunfermline, to be honest with you, just because of how they approach the game. I think they're a team that creates chances, and I feel we're the same. I feel we're a team that looks like you're going to score. When you look at the statistics of all of our games so far this season, it's been really pleasing. And one thing I'd said was I would love us to go and try and increase our conversion rate, because we're creating a lot, we're getting a lot of final third entries, we're getting a lot of touches in the opposition box, we're working the target an awful lot, and I think Dunfermline's a very similar team, to be honest with you, Paul. I think they're a team that's going to really come at us and try and score every time they come forward, and the one thing I can guarantee is we're going to do the exact same. So I think it has the makings of being a really good cup tie, and I think one that both sets of supporters will look forward to.
Just a couple of standard checks. Anything team news wise for the weekend?
No, again, I've received another squad list this morning for the medical guys, which is all green and everybody's fit and available to train, which is brilliant. It's great, and I touch wood on that doesn't change anytime soon. But it's nice that we feel that we're in a way of working hard, but we feel that a lot of guys are robust enough to keep doing that. So the only one we'll have is Dylan Smith, I think, is suspended for the game. So other than that, I think we're a clean bill of health.
As you say, that must be quite a nice problem to have, given I don't think that was the case at any point last
It's
season.
great. It's great. I think if we can find a consistency in working, if you ask sports science and the medical guys, if we find a consistent way of working, the days we work, how we work, intensity, distance, duration, everything, then that's all the markers to try and keep players on the pitch as much as you possibly can.
And just the last one, anything doing transfer wise at this point?
No, nothing, absolutely nothing at this minute in time. We just said that in an interview there that we might look to try and do one more potentially, but that's not set in stone. There's also a strong possibility that we could go from now and get to the end of the window and nothing else changes. I'm not under pressure. We've made a lot of savings and a lot of cutbacks in what we're doing, a substantial amount. So I'm now not under pressure for anything else to change, but that doesn't mean to say that there can't be maybe one or two outgoings and one or two incomings. I wouldn't envisage much more than that at all. Alright guys, thank you.